I was born and now I know why. They say until you say to someone, they say you're not to someone that sees you when and I can feel that you down with me. Tonight I can't do this on my own because you're not easier yourself to say and I get to round running, trying not to forget every step.
Finally have a voice. It's Lagos Talks 91.3. Join the conversation on the most relevant issues affecting the workplace, as well as the human resource patterns being positioned to solve them on The Office. Get notifications on available job listings and advice on how to apply from featured experts in the industry every Thursday from 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. Only on Lagos Talks 91.3.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good afternoon.
All right. So we'll be starting right about now.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Welcome to The Office. It's 31 minutes now past the hour of 4. My name is Michelle Ago. Remember, on The Office, we talk about life, career and interesting career paths and the skills you need to grow, right? And this is a partnership proudly brought to you by the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria and Lagos Talks 91.3. As you know, we bring highly skilled HR professionals, and we have a special guest who is here today to speak to us on a very interesting topic. But I'd like to quickly just run through his profile and then introduce him. Now, he is the head of he heads the sub-national team of the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO Nigeria. He's a member of senior leadership and oversees the strategic leadership and delivery of sub-national teams' work across Kano, Kaduna State, Jigawa, and Enugu State, interfacing with key senior government officials, implementing partners, and other non-state actors. Now, he helps build FCDO's influence, the network, and also high-level relationships with state chief executives and top government officials towards implementing the FCDO's bilateral program and a mutual accountability framework supports to governments at the subnational level. David supports FCDO Nigeria as safeguarding network lead, ensuring the organization has systems, processes, and procedures in places, in place to make sure it's guard against a pandemic of sexual exploitation, abuse, and sexual harassment. He is a HR management generalist, experienced in strategic leadership, management planning, and administration, as well as in development program and project management with multinationals and development organizations. He holds an MBA from ESUT Business School and a postgraduate certificate in business administration from the University of Leicester, UK. He is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria and a member of the Governing Council. He chairs the Professional Development and Learning Committee of the Institute. My guest today is Mr. David Ukagwu, FCIPM. Welcome to the office today.
Thank you very much, Michelle. I'm grateful.
It's
Happy to be here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you join us. Today, we'll be talking about something very interesting. We'll talk about building a transparent leadership culture. Transparency is something that people look out for. People are looking for honest people. People are looking for people who are transparent. We're looking for leaders that can be transparent. We need to deal with people who are transparent and value transparency in whatever they're doing, especially when it comes to business and organizations. So just to hear from you, I'd like to understand what transparent leadership means to you.
Okay, thank you very much. And once again, a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Talking about transparent leadership, for me, it's all about openness and honesty, as you said. So these are the types of leaders that within every organization or team, they create room to share information freely, and they keep members of their team in the loop of what is happening within the organization. They invite open communication, and within the organization, uh, really the open door policy becomes real. Many organizations and many leaders talk about having open door policies, but oftentimes are not willing to share information, both the good and the bad news as well, because oftentimes we think it's all about sharing the good news alone. But in terms of transparent leadership, is being open, upfront, honest with members of your team, with the organization, and also that willingness of leaders and leadership in the organization to receive honest feedback
Feedback.
from their
Right.
team. And so that transparent leadership and leaders are about those who want to walk the talk and preach what they practice, so to speak, with clear expectations and their clear communication to every member of the organization and team. Thank you.
Oh, that's very brilliant and transparent, very clear definition right there on what transparent leadership means. Now, for everyone listening, I'm sure you have questions because we have quite a lot to cover. So I'll encourage you to send messages to our WhatsApp platform before we open up the phone lines much later. If you have any questions to ask, you can just quickly tweet at Lagos Talks 913 or send a message to our WhatsApp platform. The numbers are 0809 234 5913. That is the WhatsApp platform. You can just quickly pop a message in there and just ask our guest. He is very, very vast and we're learning from him today. But sir, Mr. David, why is it important for leaders to build a transparent culture? What really is the benefit of having an open door policy, for example? Some managements or some managers feel they have it figured out already or think they have it figured out, especially when they have a board. So they might not see the point of having an open door policy when you can always go to the HR if you have issues, or you can go to your line head. What's the point? What's the benefit? What are the benefits to enjoy from a transparent culture or building a transparent culture, especially for leaders?
Mm. Well, again, there are lots of benefits, but perhaps maybe I should just highlight about four and then talk a bit around them, because the challenge with transparent leadership as well is that it's very vital for any organization to thrive, and for leaders as well. It helps them to create a situation where every member of the team feels part of that organization. So one of the areas is that it fosters trust and strengthens relationship. And you know, trust is something quite key for every organization. It's not something you demand, but it's something that is built over time. And so transparent leadership helps build trust and helps strengthen relationships within every organization that decides to practice it. It creates coherence as well within the team. As you're aware, organizations are made up of different departments, sections, units. And so where there is transparency in leadership amongst leaders across the different departments, teams, units, it creates coherence and helps forge a stronger organization. It also helps with problem solving, because if you have created a coherence, if you have created that trust, if you have created that relationship, then when issues arise within the organization, it becomes easier and quicker to resolve and deal with. The fourth one I like to talk about again is that it helps relationships form naturally, because there is already that culture of transparency. It's open door. People can easily walk into the leader and lay their issues before the leader, knowing that they will get a listening ear and perhaps they will also get the situation resolved. So leading with transparency requires that willingness from leaders to be honest and open with their employees, even if it feels a bit making them vulnerable as a result of that. But I guess it's part of what we as leaders need to know, that oftentimes there might be situations you need to share your vulnerability, and where you do not have all the information, be honest and share with the people. I do not have this answers yet, but I will investigate, I will look into it, and I'll get back to you. So that helps strengthen that trust and confidence amongst employees with their employer.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing these benefits with us. Now, what are the signs to show that a leader isn't transparent, and how can it really be addressed? How do you know a leader is not transparent?
Well, if you recall at the beginning, I talked about many leaders and organizations talking about having open door policies.
Yeah.
But if you could have that open door policy and you are not practicing it, then it shows that there might be some level of concern. People find it then hard to trust the leader. So some leaders tend to also hold back vital information from the rest of the team. They prefer to keep it close to their chest, thinking that not sharing that information will give them greater power, greater authority over their employees or members of their team. But however, withholding information often leads to misunderstanding and also unmet expectations within the organizations. So it's to the advantage of the organization, it's to the advantage of the leader that they lead with transparency, which will help ensure that both employees and employers and their expectations are appropriately addressed and fulfilled. So that helps to put in place that clear, open, transparent communication where employees will be less likely to fall into assumptions, because when leaders decide to keep information, particularly vital information, too close to their chest and unwilling to share and disclose it to the team, it creates assumptions. You begin to build the grapevine, and different ideas and frustrations begin to come into the minds of your employees. So it does greater benefit to the leader and to the organization if they approach their engagements from that transparent leadership standpoint and culture for the organization.
But let's bring in the HR here now. What is the role of the HR professional in ensuring a transparent organization? What do they do, and what role do they play in making that happen?
Well, thank you. That's very, very key. As you know, HR are the leads in terms of working with the leadership of the organization to ensure that the appropriate persons and individuals across different categories are employed within the organization. So it is also important that transparency in leadership is clear ab initio, even for HR professionals themselves, that they epitomize and exemplify transparency in their own approach in the practice of their human resource profession. And in playing that role as well, they help the organization itself imbibe that culture of transparency within the workplace, which to a large extent will foster greater employee advocacy, and it will also help that engagement and interface between both the employers and the employees, and create that cordial and mutual environment that really allows high performance of staff within the organization, such that from the point of view, once you've established it as a culture within the organization, working with senior management, then it becomes easy that even as you run through your recruitment process, you have the right kinds of persons who also will also be willing and are able to adapt to the culture of transparency within the organization. So HR professionals, they come in to lead the advocacy for leadership transparency within the organization. They help management and every other staff within the organization to imbibe transparency in leadership, and also help, if necessary, where the need arises, build the capacity of members of the organization to really understand these benefits and practice it. And that saves them lots of headache indeed.
Wow, thank you. Now, does having a transparent leadership culture build trust within the organization? Does it really build trust? It does?
Certainly. If you recall, I said one of the benefits, the key benefits of having transparency in leadership is about fostering trust and strengthening relationship. So it really, really, really is key for building trust within the
Right.
organization, giving employees that confidence to trust their managers. It also goes a long way to remove perhaps some leaders or managers may feel threatened by members of their team and so may want to hoard information. But where that leader has learned the value of transparent leadership, he gets to understand that there is no need to have that fear or
Mm,
threat from your subordinates or from other members of the team,
right.
realizing that you are all working towards the same purpose, and sharing vital information distinguishes you as a leader,
Mm.
because it also ensures that when you are not there, things can continue effectively because your team already understand what the stakes are and what the issues and challenges are, and also can lead and take things forward in your absence.
This is very interesting, especially in this
Mm.
part of the world. Some
Yeah.
organizations or people or individuals do not really value transparency. They think it's overrated. They'll rather
Mm.
hide information, and they bring that behavior or that belief to the workspace, and keep things to themselves. You see it in the leadership or management level. You see it in the from bottom to top, top to bottom. Sometimes it's there. I'm just wondering, why do people do that in the first place? Why are they not committed to being transparent? What are the fears that they have? Let's try to see things from their point of view and find a way. We already know how to address it, but can we also understand why people do that?
Well, again, like I said earlier, oftentimes it's around, if you want, you can term it as inferiority complex within some leaders who have not yet seen and understood the benefits of having transparent leadership. So they may feel threatened by members of their team that if they disclose too much information, any team member can take away their job. And so, as is normal with human beings, self-preservation seems to be the first thing that you want to target. How do I protect myself and protect my job? But in transparent leadership, there shouldn't be any cause to feel that threat or threatened by sharing information with members of your team. Because for me and for organizations that understand the value of transparent leadership, it goes to distinguish your role as a line manager or as a leader, where you have capable hands who can ensure or take forward activities within your team. In some organizations, you might see situations where leaders find it hard to go on leave. Why? Because they have not empowered, because they have not built up that culture of transparency amongst the team. They have not shared vital information with members of their team to know the operations of the office or the operations of the team, and so be able to support them to take activities forward even where they have to be absent temporarily. So it should be something that managers should be appreciated and further motivated on when they apply transparency in the way they run their departments, their teams, their units, because there's really no fear for those threats, except that same manager is not what he sought. But where a leader or manager is what his or her sought, transparent leadership should be a culture that you readily want to imbibe, because it equips and enables your team to deliver effectively and deliver results for the organization. And what more should a leader or manager want that you have every member of your team pulling their weight and delivering quality results for the organization?
There's so much value in transparency. Just listening to you break it down and talk about the benefits, you're selling transparency to us in a whole different way. Yeah, it's just very impressive the way you make it so relatable and share the importance from management level, even on a personal level. I think even without the organization, on interpersonal relationships, it's very important
Certainly.
for you to build transparency, to be a transparent person. It brings about trust. People are more comfortable around you. They know what to expect. And there's nothing wrong with being transparent. So it's just great to see that even in the workplace, it has so much benefits, more than we are able to even acknowledge. But I thank God that we're having this conversation, because now people are learning so much about the value of transparency. Talking about the leaders again, I'm just wondering, do you think that the personal traits generally speaking, does personal traits of a leader really influence their leadership style? I know it's a little off topic, but the personal traits of individuals, does it influence their leadership style, or do people usually have to go learn how to be leaders, to be better leaders, or they can depend on their personal traits? How does it work?
Well, I think leadership is something that can be learned, but it's also noted that many authors have also said that leaders are born. But while leaders are born, leadership is also a science and can be learned. So people can also learn transparent leadership and form the culture and develop their character to be able to approach leadership differently from the way they may have approached it before now. I guess some of the things that any leader, in terms of looking at their traits and also other characteristics that make an effective leader, is also to say, what is my leadership value? What leadership value am I bringing to the table, to the organization, for my team? And it reminds me of a story of a British lieutenant general who was sent to conquer a country. And when he deployed to the country with his troops, in the course of his movement, he came across a shepherd with his flock of sheep and his dog that normally will guide the sheep and also help fight away threats and the rest of it. So he got his interpreter to speak to the shepherd and say, can I pay you $1 and you skin and you kill your dog for me? The shepherd went ahead, collected the dollar, killed the dog. The general also went ahead again and said, can I pay you another $1 for you to for you to skin this dog of yours? He collected the dollar, skinned the dog. He gave him a third $1 and said, can you cut this dog into bits? He went ahead and did so and cut the dogs into bits, and then told the general, for a fourth $1, I can also eat this dog. And the general responded to him, there is no need to eat the dog. I have offered you $1 for killing your dog. I have offered you another $1 for skinning it, and then a third $1 for eating, for cutting it to bits.
Yeah.
Yes, into bits. So for me, that has shown me that you do not appreciate this, your dog. There is no value for you in this, your dog, which normally should be the shepherd's closest friend apart from the sheep, because the dog plays a vital role in warding off threats, in sensitizing him when there are dangers around. So what does that begin to say to us as leaders? The question is, what is our value? What is our value towards members of our team? What is the value for the organization? And so leaders should be people who take pride in their value, because value emphasizes pride. And when you talk about pride, it's your personal responsibility in delivering excellence. So every leader has that personal responsibility to deliver excellence to the organization, to deliver excellence to the team and make the team work effectively to deliver results. So when leaders come in and there is no clear value, and part of it could also be this leadership transparency, it becomes hard for them to protect the flock. It becomes hard for them to mobilize the flock to deliver value for the organization. And I think organizations are interested in results, interested in values, and interested in leaders that can work with them to mobilize the team and make them effective in delivering the goals and the objectives of the organization.
We're talking about goals. That is the interest of CIPM, delivering value through people. And it's very interesting for you to just emphasize that repeatedly. Thank you so much. We've learned quite a lot from you, sir. And I do hope you come back with more for us, more knowledge. I hope you share more, because there's so much to learn from you. I could just listen to you speak forever. So much wisdom there. Thank you so much for joining us today. Unfortunately, we do not have much time. We have to go, but this has been The Office, and it's proudly brought to you by the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria and Lagos Talks 91.3. And I asked for questions. Am I squeezing a call? If you'd like to call in to ask any question whatsoever, but I feel like we've exhausted all the questions already. We've learned so much, and it's almost difficult to have any question. He's literally covered every single area. Mr. Ukagwu David, FCIPM, he's the head subnational team of FCDO Nigeria. He is our guest today on The Office. Before I let you go, any final words, sir?
Well, thank you once again, Michelle. And it's been a great opportunity to be with you on this session. And well, to fellow HR professionals is to urge and encourage that we'll continue to drive transparent leadership within our organization and help every member of the organization to see the benefit, because that goes a way, long way to help us achieve the bottom line even and the results that our organizations are set up to achieve. And then for every staff, yes, transparent leadership is a right way to go. Be open to your boss, bosses, be open to your employees, and let's make transparent leadership count within our organizations and even in our social sphere, in the social life, in families. Transparency between husbands and wife, between friends, between associates, all go a long way to foster trust and cordial relationship and ease off all the stress and tensions. Thank you, Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Ukagwu, for joining us. I cannot wait for you to come back again to share more of these interesting nuggets with us. And thank you so much. Absolutely. I'm so glad you joined us today. Have a beautiful evening. Coming up next is Critical Thinking with Sil. Yes, don't go anywhere. This is Lagos Talks 91.3, the home of conversations. Stay with us.
Thanks.
Announcement, big announcement. MTN is back with another amazing